Every vote matters. Don't let someone else speak for you by not voting. Apathy about voting has become somewhat of a problem. Get out and vote. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune in to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors, Sunday mornings at 8 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen Sunday mornings at 8 to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors.
Our firm offers insurance services.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
It's Monday. Not sure how you did it, but you actually survived an entire 2 days without hearing from Tom. Good job to you. And once again, good luck.
For City Council, this is District 1. Candidates are Brent Molliver, the incumbent, and Barry Mansfield, who is challenging Mr. Molliver. I did get a text message from Mr. Molliver explaining that he apologized for not being here. He will not be here. I had offered him, I knew he was coming back from Atlanta. He had a family obligation in Atlanta. He did have the option of calling in. I spoke with his wife earlier this morning. Then I tried to call them back at the allotted time that they had said to call them back. They did not answer. Instead, they sent me this note. Brent and I are in bad traffic. Can't get on the phone now. So sorry. I'm sending this message for Brent. Thanks for trying to get us on the radio, Francis. So Mr. Molliver will not be in studio or on the phone today as he, according to his wife's note, is in bad traffic somewhere in or around the Atlanta area, and so he's unable to make it today for this forum. Barry Mansfield is in studio this morning. Mr. Mansfield, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let's just jump right into it. I will give you 1 minute to tell people why Barry Mansfield's running for City Council, and then after that, I'll ask you questions. I'll give you, even though you're the only person in here, still got time we got to deal with, and we'll just go from there. So the microphone is yours. Tell people why Barry Mansfield wants all the stuff that's come with a $200 a month job.
Well, thank you. Well, basically, I was raised in Ocala, so I have a love of Ocala, and I'm in the construction business, have been in it for over 33 years, and I deal with the city of Ocala, all of their departments, I mean, from the building, from the zoning, from even the utility department, the electrical department, even the fire department. They actually come out and check all of my buildings, whenever I get ready to do a CO. And when I started looking at some of the things that, especially on the employees, some of the problems that I think they're running into as far as they don't feel that they're being heard at the top. They don't feel that they're being listened to. So I decided I wanted to do something. Also, during the building department, you can always do things better. And because of my experience in the construction industry, I believe that I know I can bring that expertise to the council. I can actually help with some of this and actually make it more streamlined. So that was one of my biggest reasons for getting involved. And plus, I've been blessed. We've had a company for a long time. Mr. Collison, my father-in-law, who built the company, he basically, he passed away a few years ago, and I brought in some more help. So one of the things I want to do is I want to go ahead and try to give back to the community now.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Once again, if you're expecting to hear Brent Molliver in this discussion, He is en route back from Atlanta and has chosen not to use the telephone to call us. Him and his wife are driving back, and he has chosen that for the reasons of safety or otherwise that he's not going to be able to join us this morning. So it's only Barry Mansfield for District 1 in studio with us. Let's get right to it. There's a lot of contractors, people who are in the construction business that are running for office. Last time they said the fire department had too much influence. Now I'm hearing people are worried about contractors having too much influence. When you hear people ask contractors having too much influence, how do you answer that question? Because there are a lot of people in construction that are part of the 15 people that are running for office now.
You know, when they say that, actually, it comes back to the character of the person. And I believe, you know, most of the people, all the people that are running have good character. I don't see a problem with all the contractors. We deal with the building department on a daily basis. We're the ones that actually understand, you know, what some of the things that they're doing. We understand we can help them. We understand whenever there's, especially on the amount of growth that's coming to Ocala, we understand actually what questions to ask. So I don't have a problem with all the contractors. And besides, what people don't need to understand is on the building department, there's no way to, you might say, rig a vote or do anything like that, because most of the stuff has already passed at a lower level in through council, or not through council, but in through the building department. It's already gone through all the processes. It's when it comes to council, it's just then a vote on, okay, this is okay, we're going to go ahead and turn it loose. So, you know, everything is done at a lower level anyhow. There's no way to influence that. And we have a good program. You know, again, you know, all my permitting, there's no way I could get into a permit and actually try to influence the permit being processed. We have good people at the building department. We've got great people at the building department. And they actually have a protocol that they go through every time. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're big or small, here's what you got to do. Sometimes I think it's very cumbersome, and I think it could be streamlined, but still there's a process. There's no way for us to actually sway that process. So it makes me upset that some people try to influence or try to say that, and it's just not true.
Been a lot of talk recently about good people not getting their just due. A lot of people say that we're a training ground for fire department personnel, police department personnel, linemen with the electric company personnel. In recent history, you've seen people, especially in the electrical company, the electrical end of this, leaving in droves. I think 11 linemen have left in the last 6 or 7 months. If you win the city council seat, how are you going to address the training ground mentality that Ocala has, where we train people to then go get better jobs outside of our community?
One of the things we have to be involved into the people. It's just like any company, you actually have to listen to the employees. You know, this is not a dictatorship. We actually, and as far as city council, we have to have oversight over the people that are actually over all the employees. And we have to ask these hard questions. You know, you mentioned on the utility department, you know, they lost, basically they lost 5 people, and then they lost another 8 people, and then I think from what I hear, there's another 3 people that are fixing to leave.
That's what I'm to understand.
I was meeting with them last week, and that's one thing too that I feel is one of my positives, is I actually get down and talk. You know, I have employees now, and I have to get out and talk with them. I have to understand what they're dealing with in order for us at the top to actually make any adjustments to keep them. I have the same issue. You have to make your employees happy. You know, when it's not always about pay. Sometimes it's just about recognition. Sometimes it's just about appreciation. You know, yes, they want more pay, but sometimes that's not the issue. We have to respect them. As far as the pay, yes, what they've done is there are other outside forces that are paying a lot more money, especially for linemen. So we have to stand up to the challenge. We have to make it to where they don't leave. You know, it takes 7 years to train a lineman. 7 years. That's 3 an apprentice, and then the other 3, you know, an assistant.
And then we lose them 60 days later.
And we lose them. We got to stop that. And one of the ways is, like I said, we got to step down and talk to these people. We have to understand what they're looking at.
We hear a lot of talk. I've been to a lot of forums. You've been to a bunch of forums
Yes.
as a candidate. I've been to a lot of forums. Pensions keep coming up. The police, the fraternal order police, are complaining about how their pension is done now. Fire department not happy with their pension. The linemen, one of their big grievances is with pension. What are the problems with pensions as you see it, and how can you address that if you become a councilman?
One of the things we have to actually sit down and take a look at all the numbers. The pensions actually, and I made some notes, the pensions are about 2012-ish. They actually went to a 401. Before the pension was, they had 5 years they would be vested. They had 25 years, then they could retire. And then at 30 years, that was called a full retirement. In that, they would have a 2.5% multiplier, the best of 3 years. Basically, what we've done is the city back around 2012, that was probably the biggest hit, is they went in and they said, okay, we're not going to have pensions anymore. We're going to go, we can't afford them. We're going to go back through and put in a 401k. The 401k just doesn't cut it the way that it's laid out. And that's one of the biggest grievances that they're having. So we have to sit there down and take a serious look at it and find out why. And the police have the same problem. The fire have the same problem. And one of the things we've taken the monies away from those pensions, and we've put it into a 401. We have to pay attention of what we're doing, because sometimes it has ramifications down the road, and this is down the road. Now we're dealing with something we took away in 2012.
Is it something that you think is an easy implementation back from a 401k back to a pension, or is it something that's going to have to be some hard questions asked, and you understand that those have to be asked?
It's going to have to be some hard questions asked, and we're going to have to ask them. We deal the same thing in my business too, as far as retirement. What do I do to keep my employees, one, happy? What do I do? I want them to stay with me for a long period of time, and those are hard questions.
You hear about disconnects. You hear about at these forums, people say there's a disconnect with the city council and the staff, because obviously with the sudden firing of Ocala Fire Chief Shane Alexander, when the city manager, I talked to someone that was part of the mayor. I talked to him. He was made aware of it. Sandra went to his office and said, hey, I got to tell you something. I fired the fire chief. Huh? And then the city council was then made aware of it at a later date too, by purview of the charter, all well within her rights to do so. But the question needs to be asked, is that a disconnect between city administration and the council? Is that something that, because it was such a prestigious job, chief police, fire chief, somebody like that, that should be something that we look at, maybe changing the charter to make that where city council does have oversight of the hiring and firing there?
Yes, that's actually one of my biggest issues. Is there is a disconnect. There's also a disconnect between the city council. We're not paying attention to what some of the higher people are doing. We're just letting them run. And you're right, they have the authority, but they have to they still answer to us. We're the city, the people of the city hire us to go in and to make sure we do have oversight. We have to have oversight. That's one of our jobs. We can't just sit up there and nod our heads every time somebody hands a paper to us, say, here, this is what we're doing. Okay. No, we're there to make sure that we check and make sure that there is no disconnect. There is right now. And what I feel that one of the problems is we just let this level of management sort of just do whatever they want to do. Is it under their
Job
charter?
description? Yes.
But still, it's called respect. I don't believe there's respect. I come back to, if one of my people, yes, my company sort of set up the same way. I don't do the hiring, firing. But if one of my people came to me and said, hey, I've got a long-term employee, here's the problem. Let's sit down and talk about it, and here's what we got to do. Then we're all in the same game. We all know what we're doing, and we're going to make a decision. Or no, we're not going to make that decision.
You own a small business.
Yes.
Because anything under 500 employees is a small business, according to the U.S. government. I don't think you got 500.
No.
So you're a small business. This is from a listener. I told a listener I would take this question. They think that they have no representation in the city as a small business owner if they live in the county. They pay city taxes. They have to deal with city ordinances as a small business owner, but they have no representation. Yes, they can come to a council meeting and talk, but in voting on who makes the decisions that could directly relate to their business on a day-to-day basis, they have no representation. They ask, would you be interested Or would you look at the city charter and maybe figuring out a way to include small business owners inside the city limits having representation through voting for city council?
Yes, totally. I actually had the same issue. I just moved into the city, several years ago. Even though I lived in Ocala, I lived right outside the city, so I had sort of the same thing. I had a business in the city, I had no representation, and of course, when I moved in, then I was
You voted.
now I voted. So yes, I totally understand that because I was in the same boat several years ago, and we need to take a look at that because there's so many I know so many businesses and business owners that actually live in the county, and it's not like they live out, they live like right across, in Double Gates where I used to live. That's like right there, and within a block or two of city limits, and they don't have any representation. We have to change that. Yes, we need to take a look at that.
This is the candidate forum for District 1, Ocala City Council. Brent Molliver, the incumbent, not able to be with us today. He sent a note. I will once again read the note that was actually sent to me by his wife. In bad traffic in the Atlanta area, can't get on the phone now. So sorry. I'm sending this message for Brent. Thanks for trying, Francis. So Mr. Molliver not able to be in studio or on the phones with us. We tried everything we could to get him on the airwaves with us. Barry Mansfield, who is running against him, is in studio with us, speaking about his thoughts about how he would what he would do if he became a city council member. Let's talk for a minute about something that publicly everybody has a good feel for. But behind closed doors, people's ideals change sometimes. And that's the Ocala-Marion County Chamber of Economic Partnership. There is a question of why does the city subsidize the CEP when the CEP has private partners, they have memberships, they charge pretty good amounts of money from low membership all the way to high. Why does the city need to subsidize a chamber that seems to be doing really well on its own and is the nation's best chamber? Why does the city need to subsidize something that collects private membership and dues?
I think, anything we do as far as not giving away taxes, but with tax dollars, there has to be some kind of return. I do believe now, is there a time, in the future that maybe we could take a look at that? But as of right now, I do believe that they do offer a service. And that service, we're getting benefit from that service. They are bringing in partners that come to the city and actually, have employment and bring dollars to the city. So I've always believed that it's the same thing as like advertising to me. When I go out and I look for advertising radio station, I pay that extra. Do I have to pay it? No. But it helps the business. I believe they do help City of Ocala.
Okay. Let's talk for a minute then about how they help the City of Ocala. What are some of the ways that you see the CEP as a benefit for the City of Ocala?
Right now, I see that they bring in businesses that actually bring in jobs, that actually, help our economy. With those businesses come in revenues as far as taxes, property taxes, because they're taking raw properties and they're actually, turning them into a tax base. So as of right now, I still believe that they offer a service and it helps us bring in monies to add to the coffer.
The 489 project seems to be doing pretty well. That's all, Chewy and AutoZone and all seem to be doing pretty well where they're at. I think the CB's done a pretty good job. Wrap it up. We got a couple more questions for Barry Mansfield. We thought it would go a little longer because we thought we'd have somebody with you. Mr. Molliver not able to be with us. Let's get back to the relationship between the city council and city staff. That relationship right now seems to be fractured with the city council that's there. Two of the members of the city council are going away because they're not running for re-election. It's no stranger to me that those were the two that voted to fire Sandra Wilson because they are leaving office. They can handle the backlash a little better. But the structure, the way it is now, if you become a city council member, is looking at how city staff is structured and who's where and who's doing what. Is that something you want to take a look at right away?
Yes, I do want to take a look at that right away because that's one of the main reasons we're losing people right now. We have to stop the bleeding. We have to know why they're leaving, and I know why some of them are leaving. We have to stop the bleeding. We have to actually figure out, okay, we don't want to lose these employees anymore. We have to change some of the management.
Some of the management, or all of the management, or none of the management. You need to. It's something you need to
have
look at.
We have to seriously take a look at it. It is our duty as a city council to sit down and go over all this. We're just not up there to look pretty.
Speaking of looking pretty, there is a $80 million pink elephant in the room.
Yes.
That people don't want to talk about, and it's from the unconstitutional, by a court's decision, the unconstitutional collecting of fire fees for the better part of 10 years. There's going to be lawsuits. What, if anything, can you do, or will you try to do as a city councilman to look into what caused these lawsuits and how we're going to move forward with these?
One of the things, well, yes, we need to take a look at all of that. You know, I don't have all the lawsuits in front of me, so I don't know exactly what we're being.
You know you're going to face one with this. You know the
I
fire
know,
fees
I
one.
know, but let's take a look at it. We need to seriously look at
Fire
it.
chief's going to be a lawsuit.
He's going to be one too.
I mean, I know that at one time
The
the
city-
mayor and the chief of police had a lawsuit about them being at a prayer vigil on the square.
I think that's one of the things I bring to the table is there are going to be some hard questions. They've left us with a ball of wax is, melting, you might say. We have to get in there and we have to stop it. We have to figure out what's going on. And it's going to be hard. There's going to be some hard questions. And with my experience, I know I can sit down, figure it out, and bring to the table so we can make some smart decisions for Ocala. And that's who we're working for, the city of Ocala.
Final question, and this is not an easy question. Where are you on annexation? Because a lot of people think that Ocala would do a good service by annexing more, but I know a lot of people think we're big enough. Ocala, we don't need to keep growing by leaps and bounds. We're big enough. And then there's a group that say we got enclaves all through the city that we need to close in. Very good point is Cloud 9, where there was a shooting one night. A young lady lost her life, and the response was a little slow because they didn't know whether it was the city or the county. And lo and behold, it's in the county, not the city, but it's right in the center of the city, right near 200 and Pine. So where are you on annexation? Is it something we should look at, or is it something we take a back seat on, or is it something we should do to close up little pockets of county inside the city?
I do think we need to look at some annexation. I do for sure think we should close up all the pockets. That's something I've always agreed with. We need to, that's the biggest things. We got to watch our development. We have to understand our growth. We still want Ocala to be quaint Ocala. We still want the services. We still want to make sure we have high-end services with our fire and the police, and we have to do it smartly. But so far as the enclaves, yes, I've always been a proponent of that. And as far as some of the annexation, there are some areas that we might want to take a look at. But again, we have to look at it. We can't just go off the cuff and just say, I want to annex in all of this out here. You can't do that without
You can
paying
say
attention.
Silver Springs. It's okay. You can say Silver Springs. That's where everybody's talking about. Just all of Silver Springs. And you can't do that.
So we have to pay attention on what we're doing. So, and we still want Ocala to be the quaint and the town that we're used to living in.
District 1 council seat is up for grabs. Brent Molliver is the incumbent. He was not able to join us this morning. Sent a note saying he would not be able to be here because he's in traffic in Atlanta and couldn't make a phone call. Barry Mansfield is here in person. So, Mr. Mansfield, you have now 90 seconds to tell people why you want them to vote for you.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for listening to me today. I believe I bring the management style that Ocala needs right now to the city. We have so many, like you said before, we're fractured right now. Everybody's arguing with one another. Everybody's making personal attacks at one another. We got to stop. We have to sit and listen, but we need to have strong management. We need to go in. We need to go in and we need to understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, pay attention. The city sends us to the city resident sends us as a job. That is our job. We need to take it serious like a job, not just a 2 hour a month or a week, or every other week, project. that we have to take everything serious and we have to run it like a business. If we do that, we can control growth. We can have a strong police force. We can have a strong fire department. We can have all these strong departments, but we can still have a great quality of life in Ocala. And that's what I want to do.
Barry Mansfield, he's running for City Council, District 1 for the city of Ocala. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, it'll be District 3. We will have Ty Schlichter, Jay Musley, and God willing, because he's been sick with COVID, Rusty Juergens in the building to give you their thoughts on why they would be best to be City Council for District 3. Thanks so much for listening today. I want to thank all my guests, all my callers, all my listeners. And remember, Galen Unall started the show off. I'm going to say this again. I got it on tape, and I'm going to play it back someday. When I said something that I was made a point, Galen Unall said, Tom, you're 100% right. Boy, I got that on tape now, Galen. You'll never live that down. Coming up after this, Mike Gallagher next, right here on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source. See you tomorrow.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around